To our webinar on online sexual exploitation, sexual objectification in media, and online bullying and its effects. And also a warm welcome to both our panelists and me, Madhusmita Bodoloi, also a student of Teachpur University, Department of MCG. She is also a journalism enthusiast and debater from Assam. I, Jai, will be moderating the session. Now I request our presenter, Jita Malli, to kindly share the presentation with us.
Sorry everyone for the delay.
Thank you, Avijit. And good evening, everyone.
This is Jita Mali here, and today, on the behalf of Jharna Foundation, I'll be presenting for the webinar. Before I present, I would like to repeat the topic again. It is online sexual harassment, sexual objectification, and online bullying. Well, we all are aware of the scenario going in and around us. We hear cases every day on sexual harassment, sexual assault, rape, etc. The victim doesn't limit to any gender. It can be a woman or a man as well. And these crimes not only happen in a physical world but also through the internet, which is the most widely used platform by today's generation. Belonging to today's youth generation, most of us spend our time in social media handles like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and many more. We love uploading and sharing our pictures, videos, and any other content related to our personal life. This seems fun until they are misused by some random person via the internet itself, which ultimately is a harassment to the victim. And our first step against this harassment is one click away. As soon as we find any abusive comment or post from that random person, we can report his or her respective account in that platform without any further delay. Most of the time, we have come across many sources where individuals are objectified sexually. And as audience, at some point of time, we too have been attracted by such things, although we have never realized it. Recently, if you all remember, we came across an Instagram scandal where some illegal chat groups on Instagram were made where the members discussed about opposite gender and shared abusive contents. And most shockingly, these members belong to a much younger age group. However, lately but luckily, they got exposed and legal actions were taken. All this kind of behavior or say activities put a very negative impact on the victim. Sometimes it may start from anxiety and end up to a suicide case. So, as a citizen, we should be responsible enough to be aware ourselves as well as make others aware regarding the cons of cyberbullying, the necessary steps to be taken at the right moment, and stand up together united to raise voices against such activities, which are really unacceptable. That's all from our side. Thank you. And Avijit, over to you.
Thank you, Jita. Now I request Ms. Madhusmita Bordoloi to deliver her presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Can I be heard?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do let me know if I am not audible. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I am Madhusmita Bordoloi, and I'm a student of Mass Communication and Journalism at Teshpur University. Today I and my co-presenter are going to talk about online sexual exploitation and sexual objectification in media and online bullying. Since this is a very broad topic, we have decided to divide the topic into two parts. I will basically be talking about online sexual exploitation and sexual objectification in media. And my co-presenter will be talking about online bullying and a little bit about online sexual exploitation. I am a student, so I'm not a very expert in this topic. So consider me as a fellow learner, as a fellow observer. So it might so happen, it's a little disclaimer that many things that I say, it might feel like a repetition of what you already know. So just consider me as a fellow learner and observer. To begin with, online sexual exploitation. When we talk of sexual exploitation, it is actually a very broad topic. Like, sexual exploitation might happen to any gender, right? It might be a cis woman, man, or a person from LGBTQ community, or it might happen to people of different age groups. But I would like to particularly stress on a particular age group, which is children. I would like to specifically stress on child sexual exploitation. This is because I would like to explain why. Because as per a news report published in The Hindu in April 2020, this news read, the title of this news read, most online content on child sexual abuse is from India. This goes to show how in India, child sexual abuse has become a very big problem. And there are reports that show that child sexual abuse material that has been reported from India is the highest. It's 11.7%, which is actually 19.87 lakh. So just by the number 19.87 lakhs, it's quite a big number, right? And there is another very particular, peculiar observation, which is that the top 3 countries which has the highest amount of child sexual exploitation, which has reported online child sexual exploitation at the highest level, is India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. So you can clearly see what the how the geography tells importance of child sexual abuse is in the online form. So while we talk of the online, when we talk of online sexual exploitation, it's not like online is something that's different from our real life, from our offline life, right? Even while discussing with our co-presenter today, what we observed is that what happens online is actually a manifestation, is actually a mirror to what happens in our offline society, what happens in our real society. The kind of patriarchy that exists in our society gets manifested even to the social media platforms. This toxic masculinity, which has become hardwired into people's mind, into the mindsets of young boys, and this institutional patriarchal society that we have all grown up in has a huge contribution towards what happens in the online media. Talking of how this patriarchal concepts get ingrained in our mindset, like from a very young age, it's a very common example that young boys are taught, not directly maybe but from indirect sources, they learn that they are the first gender, that men are the first gender, and women, or female becomes the second gender, and then comes what we say as the third gender, right? So that gives them an additional sense of importance. And to add to that are these concepts of how men should not do household works, and this kind of works are taught to us as inferior works, like cleaning the house, cooking. These are presented in our society in a very patriarchal way, where women are supposed to do it. Men should not enter the kitchen. So this is a very common example of how patriarchy gets ingrained in the mindset of young boys. To add to that, another common example, men are told not to cry. The reason I'm explaining this is because patriarchy that happens in our offline life gets manifested into our online life, right? So trying to discuss the root of the exploitation that happens in the online form. What I'm trying to say, men are often told not to cry, but we do not realize that when actually it might be a casual statement, "Toi lora hoy, na kanbi," or we tell this thing in English, "Man up." So these things have a huge impact on the mindset also. When a person cannot express their emotions, that when a person keeps on suppressing their emotions, they might grow up to become an aggressive person, right? And this is how patriarchy gets ingrained in our mindset. Then even in our schools, and we constantly see how women are told, young girls are constantly told about their clothes to not wear I might get a little casual here, girls are told not to wear dark lingerie, innerwears. They are not they're told to increase the length of their skirts and all those things. But on the other hand, boys are not subjected to this kind of things. Now the reason that that I'm constantly saying boys, I am not saying that they are not the victims of this patriarchal society. They are also the victims. The like one example that I also already gave is how like they are how on being constantly told to man up, they have a huge that results in a huge emotional impact. To give another example, there are certain very unimaginable practices in certain communities of India that we can't even imagine. Like there is this concept of one-day brides. And I would like suggest everyone to watch this one short film called Leeches to understand how heinous that thing is. So what happens here is that in certain communities, young girls like they have not even attained 18 years of 18 age, the age of 18, but they are married off to very rich people and very this saints and all. And then what happens to them is that they become a one-day bride, they are sexually exploited, and then they are returned back to their families, or they are made they are sold off, basically. So this kind of things gets manifested to the online platform as well. In the online platform, sexual exploitation happens in the form of grooming, live streaming, child sexual abuse, material distribution, and even blackmailing. Now to explain grooming. In grooming, what happens is that it so happens that a person, it even happens in the offline, but if I am to explain grooming in online, it so happens that a elderly person like lures the child into, like gains the trust of the child, and then they by gaining the trust, they are sexually exploited, brought into their confidence, brought into their homes, brought into like secret spaces, and they are sexually exploited. This is one form of sexual exploitation. Then we know of live streaming, where a child being sexually exploited is live streamed. Then we see distribution of, these are streamed and distributed. Then again, sometimes children are blackmailed in the online platform. So these are like, to discuss the problem, there are many, and actually we are all aware of what the problems are. So now I would like to move into the next section. From my understanding, I would like to discuss on what can be the possible solutions to the existing problems. We all are aware of the problems. So what can be the solutions? The first thing that I cannot stress enough of is the importance of sex education and gender sensitization from the school level. It even does not exist in the higher education level, but it's very important to catch children young, from a very young level. Like in our society, the moment someone says that sex education should be implemented in school, it becomes an issue of great debate. But if sex education is not a part of our culture, is exploitation a part of our culture? Because women, people of the LGBTQ community, even men, are constantly being like exposed to sexual exploitation. And sex education, like by involving sex education in our curriculum, children would be exposed to these things in a proper manner. But what instead happens is that people are exposed, like with the internet, everyone is exposed, like everyone has internet at their fingertips, but so they are exposed to the matter of sex in a very from very wrong platforms, like pornographic platforms, where they do not teach about consent, they do not teach about what's the correct age. So now I would like to tell you a personal experience. So of how important sex education is from a primary level. So there was this incident in one of my hostels. It so happened that we 4-5 girls, we were sitting together and we were discussing some things, okay? And then we started talking, and we somehow started talking about this child abuse, like how children are abused. And I was surprised that everyone in that room, except me, had an incident of abuse in their from their childhood, and most of this involved grooming. Actually, like I was like surprised. Like, and what's funny is that everyone was saying that incident in a very funny manner, but like they were laughing while telling the incident. But what I could see is that there was an underlying pain beneath their laugh, because that laughter was not out of like ridiculing the matter. They were laughing because they're so helpless. What could they have done about it? They told the incident of how once one of their uncle, like a person that they knew from their neighbor, took her into confidence, and then she was touched in the wrong places, but she did not realize back then. But now when she looks back, she identifies the person. She even looks into the person, but she cannot say this. And it makes us think. It should make us think that if the children are not made aware about good touch and bad touch, which is actually a very important part of sex education at the primary level, they should be taught about good touch and bad touch, right? Otherwise, how will they even realize that they are being sexually exploited, that they are being violated, their private spaces are being violated? So this is one small example, and for men, it becomes even harder to realize or to accept that they have been sexually exploited, because our society just
Excuse me,
has
ma'am.
this. Yes. Have I crossed the time?
Thank you so much. Actually, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We are running out
Okay,
of
I
time.
will just sum it up. Okay, in a second. So this is one idea, and let's report these cases. Let's advocate for stronger legal frameworks. Let us hold small campaigns. Let's hold discussions, not hold back. Let's acknowledge our privileges to start with. Being a man comes with a privilege. Being a upper caste person comes with privilege. Let's acknowledge these privileges, and let's just be conscious of the world in general. And I'm really sorry for exceeding the time. I was not aware that what time I have been given. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I request Mr. Abhishek Kabra to kindly deliver his presentation on the topic.
Hello everyone. Before I go into the depth of this matter, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Thank you, Abhijit. Thanks, brother. You can like really not think of calling me as a sir. So okay. So whatever my co-presenter here, Madhusmita, told, one thing was very clear, that if reporting of sexual crimes are not normal, then is exploitation the new normal? Of course not. So we need to fight exploitation. And I would like to just take the conversation from the point C ended, because when we speak regarding what is happening right now, I mean, when we speak about cyberbullying, even exploitation is a very important, or objectification is a very big cause of cyberbullying. Because, for example, she spoke about gender division of work. Now, when some inferior works are when some works are considered inferior and women are asked to do it, so definitely man automatically comes up in a position which is little bit or relatively superior. So, which gives them the privilege to bully. And as per certain statistics, like it is the women who are much more bullied than men. And when we speak about bullying, of course, the gender which is most like highly bullied is the transgender, are the people who are gays and lesbians. So and these things are never even taken into account. So firstly, when I am going to speak about cyberbullying and its impact, so firstly, we need to know what actually is cyberbullying. So cyberbullying is an aggressive, it is intentional act or behavior that is carried out by a group or an individual using electronic form. Like normal bullying maybe in physical form, cyberbullying takes electronic form. Repeatedly and over time again against a victim who cannot easily defend him or herself. So the bullying takes against a victim, the victim cannot easily defend him or herself. For example, we all have watched like shows like Tarak Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma here. So what happens is that there is a character named Gogi, or Goli maybe, like the one who is the fat one, the son of Dr. Komal and Dr. Hathi. So what basically happens is that the entire like whenever there is a mockery of Gogi does not get much affected by it. So basically there is a market force selling or normalizing the concept of bullying. So we need to understand that after 1991, after the post LPG things, the entire things are directly or indirectly related to the market force. And as the co-presenter told, whatever is going offline is the similar thing going online. Now let me just come into deeper matter of cyberbullying. In physical space, people are bullied because of their caste. We find there are many people who bully because of their caste. In online space, you find many people who, after getting a seat in some exam, some people come and say, you are getting this just because you have a reservation. So caste is the common factor both in physical as well as cyberbullying. In physical bullying, people are bullied because of their gender. People are bullied being a gay, being a lesbian, being a woman, and so on. And in online space, what happens is that you find like your WhatsApp jokes or WhatsApp groups filled up with misogynistic jokes based on women. In physical bullying, you find people mocking on someone's class. There are so many NGOs or so many societies where only people, who are of a particular class can become members. In online, people are also bullied about because of their class. It is because are they people from working class or are they people from ruling class? In physical bullying, people are bullied because of their facial color, or we can say there is racism. And in online bullying, we see that there is also a huge amount of racism, or people are bullied because of their color. So whatever is happening in the physical space is being happening in the online space. And as my co-presenter told us, everything is a manifestation of the society in which we are living in. For example, when I was researching about this topic, when I see countries like America or countries like United Kingdom, the bullying there takes a different form. There people are very rarely bullied because of their gender. But when I look about countries like India, people are bullied because of the gender. So this is the society where we live in. And the society where we live in is much more, a formation of an economic thing which is going today. Because once Karl Marx told, it is the material means of production, which in turn leads to our mental means of production. Now, what basically happens is that, for example, recently an incident at Hathras took place. We all know about the Hathras incident. So when somebody posted regarding Hathras incident on social media, rather like a good number of people were showing that why the incident was not a good one. But for example, on a very personal remark, when I posted on Hathras incident, a particular person told me, why did not you post about an incident which happened in Rajasthan? Now, similarly, when I speak about something like there was an incident named boys locker room. So when I posted something about boys locker room, a particular group came and said, why did not you post about girls locker room? Even that exists. Yes, even boys locker room is bad and girls locker room is bad. But countering the entire concept of boys locker room by using the example of girls locker room is not good. You cannot say that boys locker room, you cannot ask me not to speak on boys locker room just because girls locker room exists. Or you cannot ask somebody not to speak on girls' locker room just because boys' locker room also exists. Because the problem is with locker rooms, irrespective of the gender. So when I speak about cyberbullying, it can happen through many modes. There can be hacking of your account. People can hack your account and post something from your account. There can be people can post some vulgar messages, and especially people we see that many personal photographs are even leaked. Over Facebook, over Instagram, and some vulgar messages are posted. For example, if I just take a name of a person named Michelle. Now, if you post something on people can simply post that Michelle is the worst looking girl I have ever met. And so that kind of messages which are posted, the kind of vulgar messages which are posted, basically leads to a smaller steps which leads to a higher bullying. There can be child pornography, on which my co-presenter already told. Now, there is a very important aspect which when people are in a relationship, many times they have a tendency to share some personal images. So you need to understand that many times a relationship may not go like till its complete end. So that there can be a threatening that threatening to leak your private images to the in social media platforms. So you need to see that whatever is happening all those means is a result of high sexual objectification, is a result of high gender violence, is a result of is a result of a concept where violence is being normalized. For like rather than like so for example, now if you share a personal information with me by taking me into confidence, and after a few months if I say that I may demand you money, I may demand you some sexual favors, that if you do not give me that favor, I may leak that information into public. And in that case, many times people give in and they are bound. And like that's how bullying takes, because bullying is done because there is a very huge amount of power dynamics associated with bullying. It is not generally done with two people because when somebody bullies somebody else, there is a mindset in his mind that I am of a bit higher power, I carry a higher power than someone else. Now I'm like there is a huge amount of school type bullying. I am very sure everybody present here has experienced even themselves or have seen some school time bullying taking place in their schools. Now there was a boy in my school, I cannot say the name. If I say the name, even I will be a one who is doing a bully, even I will be called as a bully. So there was a boy in our school like who used to wear sweaters in the month of March and April. We used to mock him, and it's like people used to mock him by saying that, are you a Bemari? His name got famous in the entire school as Bemari, and also some people started calling him as ladies. So now what basically happened is that that guy had to leave school in class 8, and the incident took place in class 6. So that's how bullying occurs, and that's how bullying has been normalized. Now when I'm addressing him as ladies, I am not just bullying him, I am also making the term lady a derogatory term. So which is also very important to understand from a gender point of view. I know my time is getting closer. Now we need to have a solution-oriented discussion that what can we do when bullying occurs. Legally, we have certain solutions. There is an IT Act, Information and Technology Act. So whenever you experience such bullying, as per Section 67 of the IP Act, or Section 6E of the IP Act, which you can report the cases which has happened. You can also report as per Section 507 of IPC. But all these things I got over internet. Now the reason I am saying is that when you surf internet, what to do against bullying, every time you will see that what does the victim need to do. We need to know what does the bully need to do, and that is always ignored. Now, what does we need to teach we do not need to teach the girl that you need to wear some long dresses. We need to teach the boys the lessons of gender sensitization so that less rapes can occur. So similarly, when I go into this matter, we can have sensitization classes right from our school times, because it is our brain earns most diversified knowledge during our school times. And right from sex education, right from sensitization in regarding to these matters, school is the best time to happen. Also, there is an app. Even you may be a bully without, unknowingly, even you may bully someone. And you do not know that you are bullying someone. So there is an app. The name of the app is Rethink. You can download the Rethink app on your mobile phone. And then whenever you will be typing on social media, for example, you are ugly. As soon as you type the word ugly, they will ask you, are you sure you want to go? Are you sure you want to post this? Are you sure you are not hurting the sentiments of someone? So when this re-questions you, there is a higher tendency, as per the statistics, 93% of people have thought that no, we should not do this. So there is an app called Rethink, which we can think of downloading. And apart from that, we need to be mindful of what we post, because the world is really getting as a very toxic world, to be very frank. Now I was searching the top 1000 words that has been highly searched over Google, and I saw very less word like sensitization awareness, but I definitely saw words like child pornography. I definitely saw words like sharing, I definitely saw words like the name of certain porn websites and so on. Now the problem is there is nothing wrong with them, but the problem is that when you go, there is nothing wrong with searching, or even a certain section of people say that there is nothing wrong with porn. But the problem is that when you are like when you are searching this as the top 100 search, much more above sensitization, much more above awareness, then yes, it is a very big problem of the society, specifically Indian society, where male dominance is at a level apart. Now, so basically we need to know that what does the bully need to know. We need to know how we as a society can contribute to prevent bullying. And also there is one more thing, that just like we say that when a bullying happens in physical form, or basically when it goes bit apart, in every colleges we see that there is an incident called ragging. In hostels we have ragging, like ragging occurs. Now what happens is that when ragging occurs, there is a very common incident. I will not name the university, even I can name that, but there is a university from Assam itself, where you find that when new boys enter, even in their masters, the boys, or I'm not very sure about girls hostel, but I think there it is even in the girls hostels, the boys are, they become the victim of ragging. They are beaten away. They are asked to go, mere liye sharab leke aao. They are bound to go and bring wine for them. So now what basically happens right then is that they go and they bring those wine, and after a few time, like those people become their best friend, and they say that ये सब कुछ नहीं है, बस एक महीना कुछ ना कुछ करना पड़ता है, उसके बाद हम लोग बेस्ट फ्रेंड्स हो जाते हैं. वो भैया लोग हम लोगों का इतना ध्यान रखते हैं कि हम लोग जब भी उनसे मिले, they are like they love us so much. Our community is built.
Excuse me, sir.
Okay, Abhijit, I will take 2 more
Sorry
minutes.
for interrupting.
I will take 2 more minutes to sum up my entire words. So, when this type of community is being built, then what basically happens is that we normalize our violence. And there is a thing, your mind may forget something, but your body does not forget. For example, when somebody comes near your, when somebody comes to harass you, all the incidents of previous harassment will come to your mind, because your body very rarely forgets things which your even mind may forget. So in physical thing, this kind happen, and in online field, there are digital footprints, and digital footprints are very hard to erase. Like you do not know where an image can end up. There is a huge amount of revenge porn happening, where there's a huge amount of blackmailing happening, and so on. So, and this basically leads to, this basically leads to trauma, the PTSD, or the post-traumatic stress disorder, depressions, mental, mental stress, and even people resort to things like suicide. But what we need as a society, what we need to see, we need to fight bullying. At the same time, we need to strengthen or enhance the mental strength of the victim, that does not determine her or his entire path of future. You might be bullied once, that is wrong, but that doesn't determine your entire life to come. You are much stronger than the element when the bullied considered you to be. The bully is not. So when you share somebody is being bullied, please do not share things that a girl is being bullied by someone, a girl at her school is being bullied by someone, but please share it as like a very mischief and a stupid boy like bullied a girl. So then the concept of bullying will not get normalized. The concept of bullying is wrong will get normalized. When you share even regarding sexual exploitation, when somebody is sexually exploited, please do not share that a girl at the age of 14 was sexually exploited by her uncle. But please share that a very stupid or an idiot uncle, or a very like you can use the derogatory, most derogatory terms to refer to that uncle, like try to commit this thing with like her or with a minor or with a major, or as the case may be. So share it from the point of view of the person who is committing this, and share it in as bad as possible. So as a society, we can basically lead forward and have a better society to live in. With this, I rest my words, I rest my case, but not the cause. And thank Jharna Foundation for considering me able to give this or to speak here, because I am a mere student of mass communication, and I feel very glad to be here. I thank all the 35 participants who are here. Well, 34, one of them is me. With this, I rest my words. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abhishek Kabra and Ms. Madhusmita Bodoloi, for such a wonderful and insightful discussion on the topic. It was our pleasure to be a part of such informative discussion. Now we have a question. which I'm gonna forward is, what would be the best way to deal with the people who bully, and in what way we can say we can promote cyber security? Thank you so much for addressing, and I'd like to request any of our guest speakers to kindly address the question.
Abhijit, can you please repeat the question, the first part of the question?
What would be the best way to deal with the people who bully, and in what way can we promote cyber security?
Okay. Now, first thing that the best way to like is to report. You know, the basic problem is that we do not recognize bullying. The first thing you need to recognize that bullying actually happened. The first thing you need to recognize that some crime actually happened. Once you recognize that a crime has happened, now second thing comes is how do you communicate the crime? Please, as I told in my end part of my speech, of my like not speech basically of what I spoke, is that you need to communicate it from the point of view of the bully, and like you need to communicate in harshest of the words in regard to that bully. Third thing, that many times people do not know they are bullying someone, but a bullying has been done. So it is very important that there is a sensitization program in case of people who are bullying this, and there is a page in Instagram which also helped me to develop so many thoughts in regard to this and in regard to online bullying. My Vagina, My Rights. If you can also have once a look there. So when you are bullying someone, you need to know. You also need to know that the person who is doing a bully is doing it intentionally. Because a bully is intentional. Bullying is intentional. And so when you know that somebody is bullying, I talked about some legal solutions which can go. But apart from the legal solutions, the most important part is a long-term solutions of sensitization. And secondly, regarding cyber security, yes, this is a very important thing. You need to be very much safe regarding.
I would like to quickly add something, please. Very quickly. One thing to make sure that bullying does not happen online is to make sure that we ourselves are not bullying someone, because sometimes it can happen unintentionally too, because we are not aware about everything in the world, right? We have also, in our childhood, we might have had some really wrong thoughts about the LGBTQ community, but we grew up to think right. So we should educate ourselves and make sure that we are not bullying someone. And that's what I wanted to add.
Thank you so much for addressing the questions, and a big thanks to our organizing committee members for putting forward the questions. Now, I would like to request Ms. Moromi to give a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Abhijit. It is my privilege to express our vote of thanks to those who made this webinar happen. So firstly, I would like to thank to all the interns for their time and support. My sincere gratitude to our panelists, Madhusmita Bordoloi and Abhishek Kabra, for accepting our invitation to join us and provide your meaningful statements. My heartfelt gratitude to our President Ms. Saturupa Bhattacharjee for giving us the opportunity to conduct this. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the audience who have been patient enough to listen and be a part of this webinar.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.